Welcome back. Now the news in full. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Friday U.S. President Joe Biden in Sharm el-Sheikh on the sidelines of the COP27 UN climate meeting. The head of state welcomed the American president, hailing the strategic tie that binds the two nations, expressing will to enhance them in all domains. The president also stated that Egypt has launched a national strategy for human rights and is keen to develop in that regard, as well as an initiative for national dialogue and a presidential committee to look into amnesty for prisoners. For his part, Biden praised Egypt for speaking up strongly on the war in Ukraine and said Cairo had been a key mediator in Gaza. Biden arrived in Egypt on top of a high-level delegation into climate meeting. He will address the climate meeting on the U.S. administration's efforts in the fight of reducing emissions and helping vulnerable groups to build capacity to adapt to climate impacts. U.S. President Joe Biden addressed the COP27 climate conference in Egypt on Friday, saying the global climate crisis posed an existential threat to the planet and promising that the United States was doing its part to combat it. Here are more details.
American President Joe Biden told the COP27 conference Friday the very life of the planet is at stake in the climate crisis, as he gave an assurance that the United States is on track to slash carbon emissions. Biden said the United States is on track to achieve its pledge of cutting emissions 50 to 52% below the 2005 levels by the year 2030. He added that every nation needs to step up, describing it as a duty and responsibility of global leadership. Countries that are in a position to help should be supporting developing countries so they can make decisive climate decisions, facilitating their energy transitions, building a path to prosperity compatible with climate imperative. In a pointed criticism of the upheaval sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine to finance and facilitate Egypt's transition to clean energy, he highlighted that the investment would help Egypt reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 10%. Biden also stressed that they would work with Egypt to reduce green gas emissions through capturing nearly 14 billion cubic meters of natural gas, which Egypt currently flares, vents or leaks from its oil and gas operations. Egypt failed its previously announced goal of producing 20% of its electricity from renewables, and the country's now revised goal is to reach 42% of electricity generated by renewables in 2035. The new package projects Egypt will now reach the goal 5 years earlier.
Activities of the UN Climate Conference COP27 continue for the 6th consecutive day on Friday in Egypt's Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. Friday. Activities are taking place under the theme of Decarbonization Day. A session was held tackling global efforts to meet carbon emission threats, where President of the 27th Climate Change Conference, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, U.S. Climate Envoy John Kerry, and Minister of Environment Yasmin Fouad gave speeches. Kerry reviewed his country's position regarding all the items listed in COP27 agenda. Egypt's top diplomat, meanwhile, expressed happiness over the positive morale of delegates to the conference, who showed the desire to reach understandings regarding different topics included the conference's agenda.